Bastille Day, 14th July. Bastille Day is the common name given in English-speaking countries to the National Day of France, which is celebrated on 14 July each year. In French, it is formally called Fête Nationale, national celebration, and commonly and legally le 14 julliet, the 14th of July. The French National Day is the anniversary of storming of the Bastille on 14 July 1789, a turning point of the French Revolution, as well as the Fête de la Fédération, which celebrated the unity of French people on 14 July 1790. Celebrations are held throughout France. The oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe is held on 14 July on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, in front of the President of the Republic, along with other French officials and foreign guests. History. The Bastille was a grand fortress famous for holding political prisoners during the first moments of the French Revolution in Paris in 1789. Back in July of 1789, France had already experienced a rough summer that included food shortages, high taxes as a solution to King Louis XVI debts and militarization of Paris. Sensing distress, the king called upon the States General, an assembly that hadn't met in more than a century, to deliver a new tax plan. That resulted in the Third Estate, the non-noble, non-clergy portion of the assembly, breaking from the clergy and nobility and demanding a written constitution from France. Their proclamation would form the National Assembly in late June. Weeks later, after the king removed a finance minister, Jacques Necker, of whom the estate approved, fears that Louis XVI was attempting to quash any political revolution began to boil. That fear culminated on July 14th in a march to the Hotel des Invalides to loot firearms and cannons, and a resulting trip to the Bastille for proper ammunition. That hunt for gunpowder, not the hope for freeing prisoners, was the main reason for the storming of the Bastille. The event that followed, the freeing of few prisoners that remained at the Bastille, but also a deadly battle and the brutal beheading of the prison governor and his officers, were more of a side effects of the chaotic uprising rather than the intent. Shortly after the storming of the Bastille, late in the evening of 4th August, after a very stormy session of the Assembly Constituents, feudalism was abolished. On 26th August, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizens was proclaimed. As early as 1789, the year of storming of Bastille, preliminary designs for the national festival were underway. These designs were intended to strengthen the country's national identity through the celebration of the events of 14 July 1789. The Fête de la Fédération on 14 July 1790 was a celebration of the unity of the French nation during the French Revolution. The aim of this celebration 1 year after the storming of Bastille was to symbolize peace. Bastille Day Military Parade. The Bastille Day Military Parade is the French military parade that has been held on the morning of 14 July each year in Paris since 1880, and July 14 was not an official holiday until then. While previously held elsewhere within or the capital city, since 1918 it has been held on the Champs-Élysées with the participation of the Allies as represented in the Versailles Peace Conference, and with the exception of the period of German occupation from 1940 to 1944, when the ceremony took place in London under the command of General Charles de Gaulle, and 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic forced its cancellation. The parade passes down the Champs-Élysées from the Arc de Triomphe to the place de la Concorde, where the President of the French Republic, his government, and foreign ambassadors to France stand. This is a popular event in France, broadcast on French TV, and is the oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe. In some years, invited detachments of foreign troops take part in the parade and foreign statesmen attend as guests. Smaller military parades are held in French garrison towns, including Toulon and Belfort, with local troops. One-time celebrations. 1979, a concert with Jean-Michel Jarre on the Place de la Concorde in Paris was the first concert to have 1 million attendees. 1989, France celebrated the 200th anniversary of French Revolution, notably with the monumental show on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, directed by French designer Jean-Paul Gaultier. President François Mitterrand acted as a host for invited world leaders. 1990, a concert with Jarre was held at La Défense near Paris. 1994, the military parade was opened to Eurocorps, a newly created European army unit including German soldiers. This was the first time German troops paraded in France since 1944 as a symbol of Franco-German reconciliation. 1995, a concert with Jarre was held at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. 1998, 2 days after the French football team became World Cup champions, huge celebrations took place nationwide. 2004, to commemorate the centenary of the Entente Cordiale, the British led the military parade with the red arrows flying overhead. 2007, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome, the military parade was led by troops from the 26 other EU member states, all marching at the French time. 2014, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the beginning to the First World War, representatives of 80 countries who fought during this conflict were invited to the ceremony. The military parade was opened by 76 flags representing each of these countries. 2017, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the United States of America's entry into the First World War, French President Emmanuel Macron invited American President Donald Trump to celebrate a centuries-long transatlantic tie between the two countries. Incidents during Bastille Day. In 2002, Maxime Brunerie attempted to shoot French President Jacques Chirac during the Champs-Élysées parade. In 2009, Paris youths set fire to more than 300 cars on Bastille Day. In 2016, Mohamed Louis Boulel drove a truck into crowds during celebrations in the city of Nice. 86 people were killed and 434 injured along the Promenade des Anglais.